Hot take, Jurassic Park is a good movie. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but just hear me out real quick, okay? Please, please. Don't click off yet. It has captivating characters, incredible imagery, a fascinating story, and a magnificent soundtrack. Now, I'm not here just to tell people how great this film is, nor am I here to discuss why the next two movies are worse or anything like that. I don't want to look at when dinosaurs ruled the earth. It's been done way too many times before me. Instead, I want to look at how dinosaurs ruled the earth. How are what I believe to be the main antagonists different from the rest of their prehistoric compatriots? To start us off, Jurassic Park, well, starts off by setting up what would go on to be the main antagonists, the Velociraptors. With a literal killer cold open, we see a new raptor get transported to her new enclosure. And right away, not only do we get a sense of how vicious these animals are, but also how cunning they are. The raptor waits to strike until it seems least expected. The transportation process is almost complete with the gate being raised, and it's then the raptor chooses to make her move. And this apparent lust for blood leads to her pushing through countless shocks from, I assume, cattle prods or something similar, as well as overpowering Muldoon just to kill one guy. It's an early showing of ruthlessness other dinosaurs in this movie just don't get. Sure, the Tyrannosaur kills Gennaro and, tries to eat some kids, but there's more to it than that, I assure you. The Tyrannosaur acts mostly on instinct. She breaks through the electric fence, and the first thing she comes in contact with is a car. She's never lived with cars. In an effort to figure out what these things are, she investigates and gets a light shined in her eye. It's only once she knows there's food in there that she attacks the car. She ends up fighting Gennaro hidden away in the bathroom and eats him because he screams in terror and seems like food. When Lex screams, Rexy goes back to hunting, just like Alan said she wanted to do. Rexy doesn't pursue the car or Alan and Lex once they go past the fence, but every other time we see Rexy after this, she's almost always hunting something. She's chasing the car as part of one big hunt. She hunts the Gallimimus. And finally, she ambushes the raptors in the visitor center. These are all natural behaviors for predatory animals. And honestly, they're nothing more than that. The raptors are far different, however. We're told that they test the electric fences for weaknesses, and they remember where they get shocked the last time they test. Hell, the big one joins the group and just kills off a number of raptors whilst taking over as leader. Now, you can make the argument that these are animalistic instincts, and I wouldn't fully disagree. However, the raptors instantly get portrayed negatively in almost every mention we get of them. Even Alan Grant finds a way to scare a child using the sickle-like claw of a velociraptor. They are set so far apart from the Rex or even Dilophosaurs, just simply in the fact that we are told they can think on a level that is unnatural for animals. And when the raptors break free, I see it as a much worse deal than the Rex breaking free. The raptors hunt Muldoon and set a trap for him, showing their ability to outwit humans to some extent. They kill off Arnold and are either smart enough to use his severed arm to unnerve Ellie Sattler, or just had the foresight to place it exactly in that specific location so Ellie would find it later. They chase the kids in the kitchen, and when one gets locked in the freezer, the raptors still continue the chase. They open doors and persist until they see success. Even escaping into the ventilation systems isn't enough, as the raptors pursue our characters and sneak up on them just when they're about to leave. That's simply not normal behavior. I have not heard of lions killing people just to use their dismembered limbs as tools to drive fear into others. That's what sets the raptors apart as our main antagonists. They act with instinct to some extent, but they act based on malice and a lust for blood just as much, if not more. It's not that these animals are smart, it's what they do with that intellect that makes them stand out. Rexy and the Dilophosaurs may seem cruel to some extent, but even in the case of Nedry, the Dilophosaur was just getting close enough to make sure it could properly strike. Meanwhile, the raptors in that case would probably have found a way to play with the Barbasol can, or a way to discombobulate Nedry even further. Something cruel that requires a deeper level of thinking. That's what the raptors do. Raptors in the Lost World, though, are a bit more of an interesting case. They still exhibit this intelligent behavior, but they're also shown to act more like animals. The pack has disputes amongst themselves, which is similar to other animals like even house cats. They can work together 1 second and then fight each other the next. They are smart enough to hunt in the tall grass and pick off pretty much everyone they can, obviously not eating them all of course, but there are more raptors who compensate for this time. With 7 raptors in the tall grass, they would naturally need more food, and only 3 go after Goldblum and Co. So while the raptors still kill more than they need to, it makes more sense when you have like 20 prey items all in one spot, and they're easier to kill than a beached whale. It's just a lot of extra food that would feed them and any younger raptors, since we know these dinosaurs have the ability to breed. Is it ruthless? Yes. Does it make more sense than what they were doing in the last movie from an animalistic viewpoint? Also yes. With the raptors out of the discussion at this point, or at least for now, that leaves us with a few options. Either the Compsognathus or the Tyrannosaurs. Now while the Compies do kill someone, that person is legitimately a victim of opportunity. They also attack a kid, but I mean, in their defense, they act like expectant animals who got one handout and now assume they will get more. And when they don't, they attack the kid for more food. That's just a pretty normal behavior you see in animals today. The Compies do attack people, but in a rather natural way. They don't do anything that seems unordinary at the very least. Even though they're small, thanks to their sedative-like venom, they can still take down a larger person and feed off of them for a while. The Compies don't attack unless provoked essentially, and the Tyrannosaurs only end up attacking people in an effort to protect their baby. They do eat the bald guy, but that was after he was honking his horn and quite literally attracting their attention back to where their baby was being kept earlier. They then follow the smell of the baby's blood on Sarah's jacket. The Rex even opens the tent and sniffs her jacket, relaying to the audience that this is why it's here. Of course, it wakes up the engine people and they scream and the Rex ends up killing them, but it only ever showed up because of that specific scent it felt obliged to track as a parent. And finally, in San Diego, the Rex is once again separated from its baby. Both Rexes act out of parental instinct. They search for their baby the entire movie and are only ever a threat because of that. Honestly, it's hard to say the Tyrannosaurs are villains or antagonists. In this movie, it's very obviously people who are the villains, and similar things could be said for the last movie too. There are people who work for the park that are not good people, but they're not necessarily villains. Nedry obviously is not a good person and starts off the chain of events that ruins everything for the characters in the first film. But it's clear he wasn't trying to kill people, just that he needed to avoid security. And when he got lost in a storm, it all quite literally went downhill. In the Lost World, however, engine people come and forcefully remove these dinosaurs from the environment they've grown accustomed to in order to put them in a new theme park in San Diego. They destroy the order in a new ecosystem created by people who wanted to play God, and they do it knowingly and maliciously. John Hammond, you could at least argue, has some amount of care and respect for the dinosaurs, and how much care he has is up to viewer interpretation. But the people who sided with Engine clearly do not have that care, and that's why they're the villains. Otherwise, I guess it would have to be the Raptors, I guess? Although, we all know that the true villain is that damn snake in the cave behind the waterfall. Like, what was he even doing in that guy's shirt? Be real. The problem child of this trilogy has 2 obvious contenders. The first being the constant in the Raptors, with the second being the newcomer to this film, the Spinosaurus. Personally, I think the Spinosaurus fits this bill better. The Raptors do use Udesky as a trap, which, is dumbfounding. However, they track our protagonists throughout this movie because Billy stole raptor eggs. It's just a very similar case to the Rexes from the Lost World. We know the Raptors are smart and cunning, but they're also just trying to get their kids back. The Spinosaurus, however, is a relentless threat. It hears them as they land on Isla Sorna, and from that point on, it almost never stops chasing them. It follows the plane to the tree it crashed in, eats Nash, follows those who escaped towards a T-Rex that it, proceeds to kill, and then the Spinosaurus somehow finds them a day later. Granted, they were yelling, but it still resumes the hunt. However, I struggle to believe the Spinosaurus ate all of the Rex, and the carcass the Rex was already feeding from. So even though it had food, it ultimately opted to hunt the humans, the tiny snacks, instead, going as far as to break through a steel fence just to continue chasing for mere seconds. The Spinosaurus then follows them in the river after our protagonists find a boat, and attacks them in the dead of night, trying to pry them from their steel cage, and only being scared off in the end by fire. Had the military, yes, the literal military, not shown up to the island to save Grant and friends, the Spinosaurus likely would have continued the chase the next day until it killed them. Meanwhile, the raptors seemingly back off once they get their eggs. I mean, even the pteranodons aren't that bad. Yeah, they maul Billy, but he also is responsible for at least 5 of their kids falling off a cliff and dying. I'd be pretty pissed too. Now, if I had to rank these forces from most antagonistic to least antagonistic, I think my ranking would be Spinosaurus in first, Jurassic Park raptors in second, and then whatever you think is the worst from the Lost World in 3? Or third, I guess? I mean, it's just a hard argument to make, so hard I can't even speak right. And to explain, while the raptors are clever and concise and also killing machines, the Spinosaurus is like a D1 hater. It's so adamant about killing these people it chases them for days on end and even kills a Tyrannosaur for kicks and giggles so it can chase them the next day. You could at least say there's some animalistic instinct within the raptors. While they have no need to do all that work to kill these people, they also set up various hunts or ambushes to try and catch them. They just use a higher intellect to do it. The Spinosaurus literally sits there and stares at these people while they slowly realize it ate the satellite phone and turn around. Like, bro wanted them to know how cooked they were before he cooked them. Of all the dinosaurs in this original trilogy, I believe that it is the Spinosaurus that truly ruled the earth.